Okay, so my name is Dara Lor. I'm with Summit Grease Cycling, Summit Biodiesel, and Summit Soap. I was supposed to have two other guys with me. We're all supposed to it's like kind of a multi-part thing. I'm going to kind of just see what you guys want me to talk about more, really. So I'm talking about Ancora, which is the National Cooking Oil Recyclers Association, and also how to diversify your product line, which has done really great things for our company and our whole biodiesel movement. So Ancora was developed last year, and I talked about it a little bit last year, doing something like that, and we did it out of necessity in the state of Colorado. The two largest grease collecting companies in the state lobbied. They passed a grease collection law without really anybody knowing, and it was really going to stress out small companies. If you read between the lines, it was very obviously an anti-competitive law. There's no tiering or anything of these sorts. It really made no sense whatsoever. They passed it as an environmental law, and it did nothing to actually regulate or control, or it did nothing. And all it really was going to do was cost companies a lot of money. And the big companies, to them, totally absorbable. To the smaller companies with such small margins and stuff that we have, would have, it would have put a few out of business and really stressed other ones. So, it was an idea that I've had for a long time, and then kind of one of those things. You wake up in the morning, you find out like, oh hey, we just got screwed overnight. So we really kind of jumped on it and really reacted, and we were successful in our mission. And basically it did a number of things. One, it more or less reversed the law, or at least it got yellow grease exempted from it. And it was a lot of what it seems like it's in California, like a manifesting system. Just a lot of permitting, a lot of licensing, a lot of inspection type things. Their main premise was the illegal dumping associated with grease. And the state was so uneducated with the whole situation. You get these lobbyists coming in, showing these, few illegal dumping situations, which were all brown grease. They had no idea in Colorado what was going on with grease collection in the state. I mean, they really were so clueless, and they just took whatever someone walked up and said to them. And it took a lot of time, it took a lot of resources from the companies involved to react to it, all of which, standing today, ended up being a good thing for us. But it took a lot of resources, took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of heartache, things of which that I feel to be a little more proactive with. You get all the same benefits without getting screwed first, kind of a thing. So, right now in Colorado, there's really two companies in the state of Colorado that have been committed and dedicated to the community closed loop biofuel thing. We have 2 or 3 other companies that got into it for that reason, realized what we all know about it, and are running a business, and they sell their oil to the highest bidder. Then you had a whole bunch of other people like, I could care less, this and that. But what it's really done is it's brought the big companies. Their whole thing was they kind of herded us all to a cliff, and the idea was to push us all off. And the reality of what happened now is they kind of pushed us all up to the cliff, but they pushed us all together first. We actually started talking. We were all competitors technically. Some of us knew each other, some of us didn't know each other, but it actually unified us, saying, why are we fighting each other? We're all Colorado residents, we all have Colorado-based businesses, we all, really care about our communities, this and that. Why are we really fighting each other in the back alleys and this and that, when these companies that have such huge market share in our areas and this and that are just all pushing us around? We said, it's not right, especially this law. It's like we need an even playing field. Let's let capitalism and American economics like do its job and not let these guys just push us around and decide what the market's going to be like. So, you know, with Ancora, it's really made our Colorado situation much better, not only like on paper as far as you know, with the laws and this and that and keeping things fair the way that we see it, but also it did almost create like an industry, like a real industry. You know, it's like a lot more communication between the companies involved. It also educated not only the public, but it also educated our government, our legislators on what's going on. You know, not all grease companies are the same, you know. So with those laws, they actually did end up regulating the brown grease side of it. The brown grease collectors were all like, whatever. The yellow grease people, you know, the state didn't even know. You know, they were like illegal dumping. Like, we all pay or pick up this stuff for free. It's like, it doesn't make any sense for us to illegally dump. So I really think that it worked for us. It's really given us a better path, I think, for the future of grease collection. And also for biodiesel, now a lot of these other smaller companies are really kind of thinking about it a little bit more. There isn't a biodiesel plant in Colorado. Our biodiesel is made in Kansas. It goes over and it comes back. It's working. It's a good product. It's a Clear Ecos. It's the brand that we have. All of it sold. Everybody's happy with it. We got a great track record, and we are in a cold climate and things like that. So I think it's brought you know, the attention to the fuel, and if we can get the network right, I really start seeing now that these relationships are in place, people are going to be a little more motivated to be a part of that supply chain within Colorado. So I really think it was a great thing. It really worked. I would love to see. I mean, everybody knows what a trade association is pretty much. I mean, it's great for, you know, educating people. It's great for networking. It's great for pooling resources. I mean, it's brought us together. We now, just the other day, I was scrambling to kind of double time my work to get here and not be freaking out about what I'm not doing back at the shop, and turbo blows up on my truck. Buddy, you know, 3 days later drives up with his truck. I run my routes, we move our loads. You know, it is technically we're competitors, but we realize that we're all more in the same boat than not. So I think, you know, it's tough for me because I really believe in it and I feel in it. You know, we all know what it's like starting a new project when you already have so many that are so consuming. But, you know, I'm not going to do too much today on that, I don't think, unless you guys want me to, but more kind of plant the seed, say it's out there, and we really see it as other chapters I think should be out there. Same with like all the lobbying that goes on these days. We keep reinventing the wheel over and over again in all of our places. I hear all the same stories. We've all gone through the same things. I think there's people that we could find nationally that become very educated and very you know, interested in what we are doing in our industry that can really go from one place to the other and do a much better job than finding someone that's into it, spending 6 months for them to really understand the whole situation. They do one thing for you and then you don't really ever see them again. You know, these same people can be going around to the different areas, understand the different environments that we're all in and the legislators and this and that, and be a part, and also pay attention to what's going on to let us know when something's happening, when we're so busy getting the job done that, you know, we're not stopping into the state capitol to just put an ear out. So I see a lot of benefit to it. You know, unless you guys want me to go more into it, I think it's kind of, what's that?
I just have a couple questions. One is, did you guys form any kind of nonprofit status? Is there an entity yet?
Yeah, there is an entity. We're an official entity, and Kurt Lang is our president for it. And
okay.
So after he helped me with my truck problem, his truck blew up. So he couldn't make it, and I was really hoping, because he's like, well, so much better, well-spoken than I am, and a lot more on that side of things. He's just the guy. But we are official. We are recognized, we have a board, we have meetings, and you know, it's the same kind of a thing, like once all that passed, it's been kind of, we're not calling each other as much, but some relationships have been made. Partnerships have been formed from that still exist. So I know it's important for us because there's nothing really else out there, you know, specifically for what we do. And I think the route to really kind of organically grow this thing is to have like regional chapters or something like that. I'm sure in some places there's probably a few of you guys that have kind of an unofficial thing going on, but to make it a little more official and to, you know, have like a membership and to have like a membership fee, but to really get the value out of it. I mean, we saw the value in, you know, we did the math, and basically if that law had gone through, our direct costs would have been about $5,000 a year. And then the manifesting system, like Todd was saying yesterday during the tour, it's like, man, you got to make these reports. I mean, you have to have like a part-time person just doing paperwork all the time. And to us, that was like almost worse because it's hard to find good people. And, you know, it's just me and my partner doing this stuff. Like, where do we have the time to be doing all these things? And then you screw it up, and then all of a sudden you're getting hit with all kinds of others. It gives another reason to get the state involved to come over and put a lock on your door or something like that. You know, for something silly, you put a decimal point in the wrong place or something. You know, so you know, we named it the National. We were thinking to say Colorado. We said, oh, let's just say National, so that in the future we can have chapters and this and that. But really, I mean, we, you know, for the money that we spent the 1 year would have been the money that we spent every year from now on. And the other benefits are great. And now we also have a few people that understand, you know, we have a few relationships with the legislators and things like that. I mean, I don't put on a suit and tie very often, but I was doing that for a little bit. And but, you know, at the same time, it brought some exposure. We had some of the legislators really get, let me see what's up with this, and would stop by our shop and come by and snoop around, and it really brought a lot more light to what was really going on, and it also brought a lot more light to the real shifty stuff that was happening within the legislators and how this law just kind of squeaked through. And I'm not a politics guy, I want to stay out of it. I would like to be a member of an association that deals with it, basically.
So was it clear that there was a specific lobbying entity that was pushing for this law to go through? Like,
yeah,
what was the instigation for this
really
law and
clear.
legislation?
It was really clear. It was Darling and Recycle. They teamed up. And
so what did they try to, so in Texas, what we keep hearing is they want to protect the public's health from eating contaminated cattle feed. So their whole thing is heat this oil to 180 degrees. I've never heard that from anybody else but the Texas legislators and regulators. You have an interesting point about anti-dumping, because they do come around about once a year and say, do you have any logs of where you collect from and who you sell to? And we give them to them as requested. But they don't ask for detailed, you know, reporting on a regular basis. But the anti-dumping thing is interesting because the market does go up and down, and I could see how they might worry that if there's no value in it, like especially the nasty stuff at the bottom, they might be dumping it. But I wonder, was it really just dumping, or did they go into, this is what you're going to have to do with it, you're going to have to process it in a healthful way that, you know?
It was, you know, they were smart. They knew how to get something in there, and which is funny because in a manifesting system, the term cradle to grave is usually used. You know how much is being made, and then every single step along the way is tracked, all the way until the end. What was funny is they, in writing, labeled the grease collector as the waste vegetable oil generator. And we're not the generator, so, you know, we're coming to pick it up, we're not making it. So that was a huge flaw because their biggest thing was illegal dumping. They pull up these things, which even in Colorado we don't have many cases of any illegal dumping or accidental spills as far as grease goes. So they knew that if they did that, and the Restaurant Association has a very strong presence in the lobby, they knew it would never go. They left the restaurants completely out of it and put everything on the collector and hauler's shoulders. And that was one of our biggest arguments. They're like, how do you label this? So when it comes to dumping, what's the difference? If I come up and there's 100 gallons and I say I picked up 5, I dump the other 95 in the river, oop, the paper doesn't say anything. So there were so many flaws in it, and it really just showed.
That's a good point, actually, because we've struggled with trying to tell them, what about these restaurants? You know, can they sell oil to me, and why don't they have to have a license to sell their oil to me?
Yeah.
Well, you're collecting it from them, but they're selling it to me. What if they take it back to one central location?
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes like that.
There's so many holes, and that's the thing. When the legislators are uneducated, they basically said, hey, here's a way it's gonna fund a program, and also you're doing this great environmental thing. We said both of those things are wrong. They allocated 0.6 of a state employee to manage this entire program. So just a little over a half a person.
Wow.
It was supposed to do all this stuff, and we said, well, who's going to regulate it? We say, well, local authorities and this and that. We say, well, it's already illegal to illegally dump. It's called illegal dumping, you know? It was so redundant, it was ridiculous. We are in Colorado all registered as recycling centers. So we do once a year reporting on what we do. And they also asked, you know, like, well, are you guys keeping track? We say, yeah, we keep track for our own records. You know, it matters to us to know what we're getting from where and how often and all these other things. So it was absolute, I mean, it was so, when we first approached the legislators, we instantaneously had a handful of legislators basically say, this is BS, we're going to help you guys figure this out. And now those relationships have helped carry. Those are our contacts. Those are people that we go to about other questions and other things. And it's really tied us into, you know, do I want to be in the political scene? No, I don't. Is it necessary? It is. It's proven. If you're not, you get walked all over. You know, and every state's so different. And we're just like, we kept saying, like, well, what are the other states doing? Well, we don't know. Well, you guys are the state government. Like, hey, don't you have someone to talk to? And, you know, it was a big mess, and I think it really exposed a lot of things and brought a lot of light to the good companies, showing them as, like, honest, well-intended companies. And we really got a lot of really good relationships out of it within the industry, and then also with the other, you know, all of our regulators, everybody, and really educated them. And the whole thing is, you know, regulation is regulation. If it's going to happen, you might as well be a part of the planning, because once it happens, it is so much harder to change something than it is to be a part of the creation of it, as far as laws and regs go. So, you know, I really believe in it. It's the same kind of problem that we had before. You know, last conference, you know, Jason, we were talking a lot about it. There's a handful of us that were really kind of into it, and it's just tough. We're all busy, you know. If there was a way to have somebody that wasn't running a business or 2 or 3 already to kind of spearhead these things, I think a lot of headway can be made really quickly. And I think the best way is to have like regional chapters and you know, run like any other trade association, and in other ways too when it comes to, you know, as our companies all grow, talking about insurance and workers things and, you know, these types of things, it also all of a sudden gives us a little bit more buying power with things, other suppliers, this and that, yada yada. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of things that I see it can come good from this. And I look at it, it's like a necessity. Otherwise, we're kind of just sitting there, you know, with our butts sticking out, waiting for a foot to go up it, you know. I mean, if your state isn't regulated, it's gonna be, you know, or someone's gonna try, and it's really gonna suck the life out of you guys for at least, you know, our growth stunted for 6 months because of this. You know, none of our companies grew, you know, so 2 companies spend, you know, $100,000 to lobby, and either way, they succeeded maybe in that short term because we all had to divert a lot of our attention to this thing. So what would be great is to have the right people in the right place. None of us are politicians. None of us know how this works. I mean, the first 3 months was like, can I just walk into the Capitol and just walk into an office? You know, we had no idea. You know, I didn't even have a suit. I didn't borrow a suit. So I think it was great, and it's one of those things where I believe in it. If I had nothing to do, I would totally spearhead this thing. I can't, if there's anybody in this room or if there's anybody that anybody knows that's really going to take it seriously and be a part of it, it's not a full-time job, you know, at least now, and if it became one, it could be a paid full-time job. So I see the value. If we have membership system and things like that, I think it would be well worth the money, just like this conference. I mean, it's like a no-brainer, you know. You spend money, you come here, and it's totally, I mean, you can't put a price on the relationships and things that we make here. So, it's good, and you know, I got like a box of my cards and all that stuff up here. I don't know if anybody wants to grab one later. I'm all about being a part of it. It's just like anything. I hate half-assing. I'm not going to try to do something this big in my spare time. We really need somebody or a few people to really be a part of it. And this is something that I think is a lot more standard than the types of things that we all normally do. There's a lot of people that know how to do this stuff already. It's not, you know, what, you can make fuel out of oil, you know? There's people out there that I think have experience or want to be experienced and have careers in it already. So I think it's kind of primed right now. I think we just really need to do something with it. And, you know, like I said, in Colorado, we got it. It's working for us. So it's more like, hey, if everyone else wants it, then we should all try to work together and get it going. So, anybody have any questions on that stuff?
Sure, what do you charge me to consult?
Yeah, you know, I don't know, right? But that's the kind of thing with consulting and all these things. Having people that, as an industry, we accept and can say, "This is our guy for this. That's our lady for that."
Well,
you know, you call, you send them in. It's you know.
I'd rather, you know, benefit from your mistakes than make my own mistakes.
And that's what this is. A lot of this is about. And the states, are you looking at just out of our industry? The states, you know, when this happens, you look at how many people are involved and how much time it takes and all these things. And like with us, how much stuff went into it one year, how much stuff went into the next year to reverse it. So nothing's changed, yet on our end, tens of thousands of dollars are gone. You look at the taxpayers' money, who knows what happened, you know?
So you say it's that Colorado's now regulated, and you feel like you have a regulation that's in
We're
place.
exempted.
You're exempted. So but there's still
Brown
something that
grease is
states that, though.
There's a framework, and
There's
you
a
got
framework.
exempted, carved out of it.
We got yellow grease carved out of it.
What I'm wondering is if there's a way to construct a standard language, which other states, which you say aren't regulated, need to be language, could be then translated into, you know, could be used by other entities in other chapters, as you put it, in other
Somebody
states.
needs to survey all 50 states and actually just write it all down. Alabama to whatever the last one is, Wyoming.
You know, you can boilerplate so many
What's there today?
legal things. You know, same with like service contracts and stuff.
Right,
like
I mean,
that.
if
You know,
you need a
state to
standard
state.
power of attorney, is there a standard like exemption of yellow
EPA
grease
would have some.
that you'd want to get into every single state legislation?
What I've seen, what happens is, from what I've seen, is like, they kind of put a law together. Every state's so different because no one's educated. No one knows. So everyone just kind of pieces together.
So if there is a
this
national
regulation.
organization that has a piece of language, then that would give it some...
And could eventually lead to national legislation type stuff. Like,
Or even
you know,
just
it could be EPA
standardization
things and
within
stuff
different
like
states,
that.
because the national government may not want to regulate on that
Yeah,
level, but at least
yeah.
this national organization, which has reputability for its working with the Colorado state legislature, can then be promoting in other states which aren't regulated and helping the individuals like you in other states to promote that language.
Precisely. And the same with, you know, having a network of different lawyers and things like that from state to state that understand what we're doing. You know, you're paying, you know, lawyers by the hour, and you spend hours just teaching them what's going on.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So
I think it's great what you're doing. You know, so
it's
that-
cool.
okay.
It's brought a lot of the companies to a more of a understanding. You know, I mean, we know who's doing what where and what type of companies they are and can adjust. I mean, it's done a number of things within our industry, and I think it's absolutely necessary. Like I said, the heat's off kind of for us because we got it now, and I'm like, oh. You know, and that's what I'm saying with everyone else. Is like, you know, don't wait until the bullet's coming at you and you're trying to, you know, get out of the way. You know, have something in place. and be proactive with it. And I think it's just great for not only the protection, but also just the growth and the advancement of our industry, and putting a separation. You know, it's not every grease company is the same type of thing. So, yeah, I'd love to spend more time, more specifically on how to make this thing roll. You know, but I really do think it's going to take finding somewhere in the country or somebody somewhere that will really want to, you know, get it really going somehow. And then eventually, if we can, through membership dues and things like that, actually hire like a really trained and skilled person to be a part of it, then I think we're going to be like legit and get maximum benefit out of it.
Well, one idea might be to have every company that's interested pitch in $500 or $1,000, a pretty hefty amount to start out with, and put it in a pool and say if nothing keeps going within a year, you get the money back. And then, you know, if we could have 30 companies and have $30,000 or whatever, you could say, okay, here's
Really?
6 months to pay an executive director for a part-time job. I know some organizations have done that. Not that first part, but like Jeff Plowman was the SBA director full-time. Before that, he was looking at being the executive director of Biodiesel Coalition of Texas part-time. So there's some models out there for part-time being a director while you're doing other things that could be interesting.
Yeah.
If there's money up front, because otherwise it's like we could all sit around and talk about what the dues might be.
It's true.
And
Yeah.
if we could have 100 people times $100, there's $10,000.
Yeah. It works something out, like saying if it does work, then maybe that initial, some kind of incentive to get in on it early. You know, not just the results, but like maybe, okay, for the next 2 years or something now, maybe the initial investors or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't have
Founders
to.
Club.
Other than Texas and Colorado, are there states where it seems like legislation to regulate used vegetable oil is imminent?
Well, it's not imminent in Texas.
already-
Texas is very difficult. And I
Illinois
think,
already exists.
Does
who's
it?
that?
It already
Colorado.
exists in Illinois.
And
Illinois.
California too, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually not just about, I mean, Dara said, you know, get in front of it before the bullet comes by. But it's also all the states where it is regulated. North Carolina faced one not too long ago.
Yeah.
But the states where it's regulated, maybe finding loopholes and saying, you know, if we construct our business like this, if we load our trucks like this and then have a tankage that's on a trailer, EPA doesn't regulate tanks that aren't on the ground, so we can have a 6,000 gallon tanker. And then, you know, you share that with somebody and say, wow, I could base my business on that.
Right. Well, I definitely think it's a great idea to have something in place when it starts becoming a conversation and being aware when it comes to conversation. I just wouldn't be necessarily, I mean, I just question a little bit, is it a good idea to be knocking on like state legislatures' doors if it's not an issue yet, you know, in terms of regulation?
It's the same thing. It's, you know, these big oil collecting companies, like, you know, they're not
The
stupid.
renters will come in and knock on the doors,
They're-
so you better.
It was kind of,
Yeah.
to us, it represented something huge. It showed, you know, for years, they're always trying to, they just thinking, oh, we'll do this and put those guys out. We'll do this and keep them out, this, that. It showed that they were getting desperate to us. We made it realize, like, man, they got off the front lines and they went, you know, down there because we're taking market share. Our clients, we have a good service. Our clients are really liking us. They're running out. There you got people saying, now, even though those guys don't pay me, I'm going to use them. That's for the past few years what it was. It'd be like, we'll give you a nickel a gallon. We'll give you 10 cents a gallon. We'll give you a quarter a gallon. Now people are saying, you can't pay me enough. I'm sure you could, but like to an extent, realistically, in a long-term sustainable model of any business, they could not keep these accounts because people were turned on to our whole program so much that they're like, don't call me again. Don't do it. So.
I was wondering what kind of social media you guys have instituted. Do you guys have you have a Facebook page or
The association?
Yeah, the association.
No, we don't have anything like that.
Something that might be worth a little bit of investment, so that there's some point of contact. You know?
Yeah, and that if it grows outside, like right now, like, you know, we're all become much closer. Some of our companies are like, you know, I mean, we talk all the time. You know, if I'm down in Denver, not even business, it's like, hey man, what you doing? A couple of those guys snowmobiling Breckenridge and stuff like that. You know, we get along.
Or like a
Turns out we
WordPress.
just never had the time to get to know each other.
Something simple that would take a lot of investment.
So
Google Docs for some of the information.
Yeah, we have like our website for my company. It was we paid $25 to get at least the address, and it used a Google site.
Right.
And it's pretty crappy, but it's a place that someone
wants
to know if we exist. It kind of makes us have a presence.
We've tried those things. What's more important is who's checking it.
Yeah.
Every other day, every day. Like even my business's Facebook page. I mean, I don't go on Facebook that much, I got other things to do.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes I see something
At least if they could get your
a
number,
month ago.
they could call you.
Like, it was almost better that I didn't have it, because otherwise, like, man, yeah, I wrote that guy, never said anything back. And I hate when I hear things like that. I don't like letting things like that fall through my cracks.
But to have a presence when somebody puts you into Google and something comes up,
Yeah.
That's just like having a face staring back at you.
Yeah, we did get the web address
Give a domain
and
name.
things like that. It's just my website for my business already. I'm not happy with it, So
Yeah.
it's like to have like 6 things out there that I'm not happy with. I'd rather have 1 or 2 that I'm like, yeah, this is good. So it's the resource. It's like all of our problems, to have good people that are really going to do
Yeah, I know.
what needs to get done. So
It's a priority thing.
Yeah.
It
I never
is.
had a client that I called on say, could you contact me on Facebook?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. But I think these are the beginnings of the same thing. We all have the same stories. We come to this thing every year, and we've all gone through a lot of the same things. And a lot of us are reinventing the same wheels all around the country. And it's, within ourselves, like, we never have a problem telling ourselves what we're doing. But it's just a matter of like, do I wish we all talked like once a week and, shot the shit and this and that? Of course. But like, I call my parents once a week, and that's like, oh my God, it's been I try to stay off the phone as much as I can,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, all these things are great, and I really think what we need is the right person to put this thing together and not just get the ball rolling, but keep the ball rolling. That's where always the issue is. Like, we got the ball rolling, it's already starting to, it's not stopped, but it's slowed down. And it's keeping that momentum and creating a snowball effect. And then, I think I know it's necessary, and I know it's going to bring a lot of great things if we get it going.
One resource might be like a student project. If
Yeah.
there's a social.
This is one of the things I feel that we're not inventing anything. A lot of us have been a part of innovation and development of things. This happens all over the place already. I mean, Plumbers Association, trade unions, all kinds of stuff is out there. So this isn't something that's kind of like weird. This is a totally normal thing. That's why I'm saying I know there's people out there that this is what they do. They've been doing it it's their career, being a part of things like this. So.
And there's even already a National Renders Association.
Yeah.
Which is thousands of dollars a year to join.
Yeah.
The only thing I like about them is that they put out a magazine called Render Magazine.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And you get the kind of inside dirt on what they're doing.
And that's the you get the inside thing, but that's still that's not us. Like, I thought about joining it just to say that I'm a part of something, because that's a little credibility.
Yeah.
Now we say that we're a part of this association. That's a little more credibility. We're not just these these mountain guys with some crazy idea that who knows. I mean, it's been said before. Oh yeah, that guy will pick up your oil, but fish is going to go back in Tori. You'll never see him. I'm not even a fish fan, but really, But that's literally been said. I've had a client tell me that. Like, yeah, this guy straight up said that.
It's too bad because they played an LBC on Wednesday. You could have.
Right? Oh, what? So I think it brings a lot of credibility. I don't see anything wrong with it as long as it's working the way it is. But we don't have to develop how it works. We just follow the models that are out there. I mean, it's just being a part of it.
Then maybe there's once a year at this conference there's a meeting of that group.
Exactly.
Not a whole separate.
Yeah. Completely. Yeah.
I'll be a token member.
I think it's a great thing. So really, I guess what I'm asking you guys is like, feel free to contact me. Like, I do have energy and motivation for it. I'm just being honest to say, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to build this thing, by myself. Maybe there's 4 or 5, but that's always the problem. We're all so busy. That's why we need one person that isn't doing everything else and is motivated for it. It could do it. It could be a student. It could, it's one of those things. It's kind of hard, to screw up really. It's a lot of behind the scenes work at first. You know, it's not like putting some guy in your truck and having it roll down the street and stuff. You know, there's not really much to lose by taking a chance on someone that says, I would like to do it. If nothing happens, you lose a couple of weeks, no money's lost, and you know, not many things, you know. Maybe make it a contest for some students. See who can develop a plan the best, and if you do it, then you know, I'll make something up. You wanted a ski trip to Breckenridge, you know, whatever. You know, I'll fund that. To find someone that's really into it, yeah, no problem. So, you know, I think, you know, unless there's something else, I think we can kind of leave it at that. I think
This almost should be a subject for our next meeting, because we all need something similar. I need somebody like that for our co-op.
yeah,
Just somebody to spend some time on it and have the face-to-face with somebody.
yeah,
And you know, we're all exactly in the same boat. We're as busy as we can be
Yeah.
doing what we do.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that are looking for a purpose and a way that they can help. They see a lot of
Yeah.
problems in the world and are looking for a way to connect. So I think
In this economy, you'd think that there'd be a lot of people out there. I think the trouble is, where do you find them? How do you go
Yeah.
find mission-driven people that aren't employed, that are looking to work but don't mind working for fairly low wages to further a cause?
I think what it is
And usually
making.
they have to earn their own. They have to eat what they kill, so they have to go out
Yeah.
and find money to pay for themselves.
That's what I was going to say.
That's true,
Don't
yeah.
make it easy.
Right, yeah.
Don't leave the door wide open.
actually
Do
one to give throw something out there is the National Wildlife Federation does have student grants that someone can just write, and
This
we
is a
actually-
very grantable thing, also. I
And we
think.
got
I don't know anything
money
about
to do,
grants.
for instance, the Golden City of Golden transportation plan. It's going to have a local biodiesel bus that's going to connect to the light rail.
Oh,
We had a
okay.
student project that was funded to do that. It was just from writing a pretty simple grant proposal.
I think this
So
is
that's
something
one
that can get some.
Hmm.
That's be attractive
for
things like
anybody.
that.
EPA education grants you can get.
Yeah.
Various regions.
Yeah.
There's a number of outlets that'll do things like, and what you're talking about is capacity building. That's what they say in the industry. That's what we're trying to do.
Mhm.
Is build the capacity of this organization into something more formalized.
Right.
Then there's that activation energy of even then pursuing that
Yeah.
and like finding the right person that's even
Yeah,
providing the
I
grant.
think
So I see that.
we could talk on and on. Already I see the light bulbs going, like how this could be a great thing with like employee exchange programs
Yeah.
within companies and all these things as
Yeah.
association members, all that stuff. I mean, it's all good stuff that it all comes down to like, you know, we can sit here and write down 50 things that are awesome, but how's it going to
You know, it might just be that if we kind of keep talking about it, that person comes along. You know, it's somebody in this room that's doing something else today and isn't doing something else next year, or you know, 'cause,
Yeah.
you know, things tend to fizzle over time, and this is an idea that hasn't really fizzled. It's just kind of been smoldering. You know,
It's true.
We're
Yeah.
just kind of waiting for that spark. It
Very
has to be
much.
the right person, in the right place at the right time.
I think if we described it very well and explained it very clearly of what it is, what we're trying to do, and who we're looking for, don't make it too easy for someone just to come ask a whole bunch of questions per se.
Yeah.
You know, kind of one of those things like, you know, in, you know, Kung Fu or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, you know, he's on top of the mountain if you want to go talk to him. You know, you don't come down and say, oh, what do you want? You know, it's like, take these 2 buckets of water up the top of the mountain. If you get that far, then maybe you might make it, you know. So, yeah, I want to keep it going, and you know, even if it's, you know, I do have some time and energy to put into like finding the person and describing it and stuff, but there's no way I can.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned from managing students is that they're students because they're learning. They're students, and it
Yeah.
still takes a lot of energy to coordinate and manage.
It does.
And
It does.
It's something that I've
Yeah.
underestimated in the past. And then I ended up turning a lot of energy and ended up doing, you know,
We got
at least
rid of-
50% of the work.
Dissolved our internship. Yeah, we dissolved our internship program.
Huh.
You know, last year. It kind of worked. 1 out of 5 were good, but there was the other ones around. It kind of infected the pool, and you know, we will have it again, but with more structure to it for sure. So, geez, all right. This is the one that I think is way more today. Okay, diversifying. So, you know, I got into the biz for biofuels. If you told me I was going to be a soap maker, say, what are you smoking? Barely used soap. I live in the mountains. I'm a grease collector. You know, I used to once in a while, but I was like, I'm gonna get greasy tomorrow. I don't have a girlfriend. What's the difference? You know, my dog can smell me better down the street. So, you know, we were playing with biodiesel, and everyone's just like, oh, you know, soap this, soap that, you know, and trying to not have soap. And I say, well, soap kind of like happens in this business, you know, it kind of like happens, and when it happens, you're like, I got a lemon. So what do you do with lemons? You make lemonade. We were tinkering with soap for a while. At first, I made some just because I just thought maybe I'll make my own soap so I don't have to buy soap. Made some, have it around. I have a lot of visitors to my place, come skiing and stuff like that. I had started having people saying, hey, where'd you get that soap? I said, I made it. They didn't believe me, knowing me. They started saying, it's good. It's good soap. I was like, what do you mean it's good? You know, so started kind of paying a little more attention to it. Started making more soap. Then all of a sudden, everyone's birthday, everybody for Christmas, you got soap. Okay, that's what it was. You know, this was 4 years ago almost. Then it just was always there. People said, I like the soap, I like the soap. It's good, can I have more? Then I started having people saying, can I buy some of the soap? I said, no, just take it. I remember, you know, one month I'm sitting there looking at the numbers and I'm like, I'm going to have to go do some side work for my buddy to pay the rent for my shop. And I remember someone calling me and, hey man, my girlfriend's mom like really liked that soap, she wants to buy some. I don't sell the soap. I'm like, wait a minute. So I just started going and really looking into this stuff and made like, you know, just I had a table in the corner of my shop, this big. Every once in a while I'd make another batch of soap, started feeling the soap, started really understanding the soap. Finally, I found someone that was making soap a lot like baking. I found a baker that was an artist, and it was a girl who understood this market a little bit better. So, working with her, we really started kind of getting into the soap, scenting the soap, playing with soap. You know, it was good. It started taking off in the sense of we just started giving it out. People said, I like it, I want more, I like it, I want more. I mean, this is something I was putting a tenth of my time into, and it was growing, For years, I'm pushing an elephant up the hill with the fuels, just passionate, so passionate about it, and just saying I'm gonna die trying. The soap just was going on its own. It's growing its own legs. It's walking. I will walk away from it, and all of a sudden it's following me. You know? Such a different feeling. So invigorating. So motivating. So we went with it. And last year at the conference, we kind of really just began like the soap company. And in the past year, now we're selling 3,500 bars of soap a month. And have put very little effort into it. We have several other products. We have a liquid soap, we have a hard soap, we have a shampoo bar. We have with our so we make our soaps from sterilized, dewatered, one mic'd plant oil, WVO. Our glycerol makes a commercial grade cleaner, which in our market up in the mountains, we sell at $14 a gallon, which is about roughly $5 a gallon less than competitive degreaser all-purpose cleaner that people are buying from their normal distributors. In the Front Range, in the urban environment with the company that we've partnered with and branded ourselves together, they actually give the oil as payment to their clients. And he was supposed to be here, and that really bothers me because I don't know how much that's his product. We're like handshake licensed the rights to it and things like that. So I don't really want to go into the cost and things like that without him But he can say to the restaurant, I'm giving you the value of more than $1 a gallon of your oil. More than $1 when you do the books at the end of the month, you're getting paid more than $1 per gallon for your oil. It's a great product. People love it. It works great. It's non-toxic. It's biodegradable. It's a good product. It took a little while to make. We have it comes when it's done in like a supersaturated state. There's a crystallization that we put it through, and that crystallization makes great hand cleaner like a goop or something for your shop, and it makes a great hood paste. So you can actually brush it under the hood, let it sit, wash your hood off. So 2 products come out of that. That's more of our commercial, industrial side of things. Great results, great things. We've gone through, like, we've sampled out. He's got, over 80 of his accounts using it. A lot of people say, no, we're cool. You can still take the oil because we like what you do. And so we were like, yeah, we want that cleaner. We just started taking orders. We went through a whole process. Mountains, things move a little slower sometimes. But we finally started taking orders for it. Now it's a revenue stream for us. It's also a barrier of entry for a lot of other things because they're getting a higher value than any other competitor can offer them as far as payment for their oil. And it's cut and clear. There's no accounting. There's this and that. They just order their product from us. It's a normal thing. It's not, where's our $20 check from last month from these guys, blah, 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 blah. So that's been real great on closing the loop with our restaurant on that end. We make, now the liquid soaps are really great for, we just went through a whole bunch of things, formulated it. We're on like version 3. We're on like, version 4 point something on these bar soaps, which actually, why don't you guys pass these around? You can. So these are actually old versions. This isn't our current version. Sorry, it's old stock. But if you guys want the new thing, stop in my shop. I'll give you some. But for now, you get the idea with this, and it's still good soap. But we've just formulated a little better because natural soaps have a little more tendency to absorb water, and we've basically the stuff in there is 100% WVO base minus the other ingredients, sodium hydroxide and the scents, and some of our dry herbs. Now we have 10% palm stearin in it, and it has made that bar so much more robust to water. Where we're really going, we're in 40 retail stores within our local community. We've gotten a web presence. What's up? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We've gotten a pretty good web presence. It's spreading itself naturally. We're in Mexico. We're in Canada. We're in New York. If people call us, say, I want to buy this stuff and sell it at my store. Complete opposite of biofuels, like the opposite of that cartoon, if anyone saw it yesterday. What's up?
Are you doing private label for me?
Yeah, we can do all that stuff. That's super easy. Yeah, and that's something, that I'm here to offer as far as like, we can make a private label, but at the same time, I feel like for the whole sustainable model, it is very easy to replicate our system.
I mean, I like the idea of what you're promoting, to have other people maybe do the same thing with soap, but more than that, I'd be interested in just buying your soap.
Yeah.
So maybe if you want to just tell us how we can buy your soap. I use Origin's product. I try to use something that's not just chemicals.
Yeah.
But if I could use a product for soap that comes from the business I'm in,
right.
Hey,
take a bar. All of our info is on there. Go to the website. Our web store works now, which is cool.
Yeah, and I can't find goop anymore.
Yeah,
really?
It is taking off. It's really re-sparked our whole everything. It's like something is just like it just works. What do you mean? You just do it and it works. So it's been great, and it's done so many things. The soap company is a completely separate company. Where the reason why my partner's not here is we finally got our permits for a new build. We're moving to a 6,000 square foot building. We've been in this garage basically for 3 years. It's given the light at the end of the tunnel has gotten so much brighter on so many things. We are 100% still in the biofuels game. We are there. This, for the amount of effort and the amount of return that we've gotten, is given us so much more cash flow. It's gotten us on the news. So many local newspaper articles have happened. We get so much more attention. At the end of my grease pitch, soap business card. I don't mention soap unless someone asks me about it. I talk grease. Walk in, soap business card. What the hell is this? So now we have the next 15-minute conversation about soap and how we're going to put it in your bathroom. And how there's going to be a sign on it that's going to say how cool you guys are and how you guys use all natural stuff and how local you are and all these things. Our displays are all over the place now. People come and they, forever I was the grease guy. Hey, you're that soap guy. Hey, man, I am that soap guy. Appreciate it. It's brought balance to our world. People walk into our shop, they say it smells great in here. It smells great. Who says that about a grease shop? In the back, we got all the grease, all this stuff, but they smell the soap when they walk in the front door.
Can I ask, as far as costs go, without going too detailed, if you have a gallon of oil, you could sell it for, let's just say, $2.50.
Mm-hmm.
How much of oil are you taking to make it, percentage-wise or whatever you can share? That's kind of the picture.
When it comes to the soap, it's all my stuff. I'll say whatever. Our cost right now is about 60 cents a bar of soap. 15 cents of that's the label.
But how much do you pull out of, instead of getting $2.50 a gallon for the oil?
We're making 35 bars of soap out of 1 gallon of oil.
Okay.
I make more money, the same or more money off of 1 bar of soap as I make out of the fuel process.
Okay.
A lot less work.
Yeah.
A lot less equipment.
Sure.
A lot less of everything. What's our problems all the time? Getting more oil. I look at a gallon of oil, and now it's 35 times more resource to the company at the end. And it's still a part of the whole closed loop community, natural, sustainable, blah, blah, blah thing. It's really great. Where we're moving is amenities. That's the big thing. We have lots of lodges and resorts in our community. They've showed interest. We're in bed and breakfasts right now, testing the waters with small scale things with owners where they give us, honest feedback and things like that. With this new facility, we're able to ramp up virtually overnight if things really explode. It's so much easier to ramp up than a biodiesel operation or a grease collection operation. You're not talking tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're talking a couple of $1,000. All of a sudden, your production fourfold. So this is something. There has not been one thing that sucks about it. 50 things that have brought great stuff. And I think even just for marketing for the current companies and this and that, that's something that I can offer instantaneously to people. If you guys want to talk about maybe some bulk ordering, things like that with a private label, just to kind of get the attention going, to build it a little bit. I'm not trying to make money off of you guys. I think if this is something that's working, I think it really just makes sense. It's plug and play almost. You guys can start doing this with, relative to what we've accomplished with our other businesses and stuff, this is a cakewalk.
Well, maybe this is something to kind of bring it back to the association, but maybe you run it almost like a franchise.
It can be.
Where it's like,
very much.
Yeah, we all collect grease, we're all busting our heads against the wall to do biofuels, but if this is something that'll help the entire community, because everybody everywhere needs soap, and we already got their feet.
Yeah. Sounds like you could really clean up.
It's been great, and I really want to share this with everyone else.
What's retail on this?
Retailing on our website's $4.50. In stores it's $5. Like I said, in our area, this is our kind of gift boutique market. We are really interested in the amenities line. That's where we see it being. And we've always said we'll never divert more than 50% of our feedstock oil to it. But we did the math today. If we were at 50%, we'd be pretty sweet. I mean, we'd be jiving. Our company would be solid. And I really think it just complements the biofuels so much because it gives us more resources to push our way. And you look at it, the issues aren't me going and getting 20 more gallons a month from one account. It's changing the way things are in our system, and it allows that to happen. And now with the soap, I mean, I go in with the soap first. People get to know who I am, and the grease accounts are like, They come to me. Oh, you do that? I'm not a salesperson anymore. I'm that soap guy that's hanging out that we had a good time the other day. Oh, you can collect my grease too? It's changed my entire like sales pitch with the whole thing. I'm not knocking on doors really anymore.
Could you do some type of liquid soap or some type of soap product that they would be useful to the commercial restaurant industry?
For the what industry?
For the restaurant industry.
Yeah, we got it.
You've got
It's
it.
samples are being given out like right now. And a big thing is that marketing of it, putting a sticker, making a really cool display. It changes things. I mean, what are you doing when you're washing your hands? You know, a lot of people, I guess, stare at themselves. I don't usually like what I see. You know, I'm like, oh man, I got all kinds of stuff in my hair. So I'm kind of looking around and gives you something to read. It gives a little marketing pitch. It makes the restaurant look good. We got door stickers in the front of our restaurants talking about our oil and biofuels thing. We want as much presence, and also it's integrating with. We already formed these relationships. There's people that love us. When we say we got this soap, I say, just tell me how much it is when you're ready. That relationship's already there. And also now we're picking up. Whoa, we can deliver soap while we take the oil. So we leave with the full truck, come back with the full truck.
Is it, so the oil goes down the soap path or it goes down the biodiesel path, right? It's, you're not.
Either or.
Yeah.
Our glycerol goes to our commercial grade cleaner and degreaser.
Right, but when you make this soap, you're using the entire oil,
Yes.
basically, okay.
Yes. It makes better soap.
Yeah.
It's just better soap. Glycerin soap doesn't really.
Do you not have to be at USP grade for any of this stuff? Like, I know that's a glycerin term, but is there any kind of regulations about? Okay.
As long as you don't claim that it clears acne or heals scars or anything like that, it's all the wording. But the FDA's been really cool. We send them our label and say, "Is this cool?" And they say, "Yeah, we don't." Okay. They do it for free. You send it to them, they say, "Oh, yeah, no, we don't deal with it."
They didn't give you a hard time where it says may cure cancer.
You can say that probably. You just got to pay the money to get the FDA stamp. So you claim whatever you want, I guess, most of the time. Everyone else does. So yeah, right on. You know, you guys enjoy the soap. Please feel free to contact me in any way. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing.
Thank you.
He wants your bar. Trade association, I was interested, but that's not, I think that all those ideas were, yeah. I was just thinking maybe.